everybody, thanks for listening to another episode of What's Offensive Weekly. This is Scott. I really appreciate you listening. Jeff's not here right now. He's outside. He's teasing little kids about their mothers. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. Anyway, I wanted to go ahead and give you a little insight into what this week's episode is going to be about. I promised you trigger warnings last time. Well, I only teased you. This episode is where Jeff really starts describing what trigger warnings are and why they're so, how do I say this, dumb. Yeah. Then we're going to get into, we talk about some of the different political areas, namely California and how crazy it is. We tackle this topic. You ready? The Down syndrome abortion ban. And Jeff, I'm going to tell you right now, Jeff has a perspective that, once again, like, I'd never considered that. Like, he has a way of looking at things that is pretty refreshing. We're also talking about what do you think of the idea of mental health checks for guns, the idea of limited government, immigration, and then I have this theory that I'm going to talk about in here, and we'll just call it blind justice. So take a listen to that. Tell me what you think. Am I way off? What am I missing in that? And then Jeff, he closes this thing up talking about basically how banks suck, specifically with home loans. So, hey guys, thank you once again for listening. Thanks for downloading this. Please subscribe to our podcast. Please tell a friend. All right? You better thicken your skin up. It's time for What's Offensive Weekly. You were mentioning something a little earlier about trigger warnings. What was that all about?
Trigger warnings are like, these people who have to be told everything that's going to happen. And like, say, like for instance, like a TV show. I saw this post about how this TV show, I forget which one it was. I want to say it was This Is Us, but I'm not positive. I don't know. It sounds like such a chick flick type of show. But
you're watching This Is Us. And
yeah, no, I wasn't watching
your
This
tissues
Is Us.
out.
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah. And that's porn, not This Is Us. But
okay.
Anyway, so there's this whole list of things that are in this show that are supposedly quote unquote trigger warnings that are offensive,
such
blood, as a rape scene,
physical abuse,
physical abuse, the
drug use,
all that, all kinds of things that are potentially trigger warnings where people who have PTSD, it might set them off, or whatever.
So this is a literal thing that's like listed somewhere.
Yeah, it was a post that I saw online.
Okay.
And I don't think it was necessarily like by that show, but I think it was like a group put it out or something like that.
So
talking
a group
about this
maybe has a website of some sort, and they have list by list. They're going to start giving you, hey, before you watch this episode,
just know
here are the things that might trigger something in you.
Right. And it was, literal, like pathetic things like that. Like there's a scene with blood in it.
How does this make you feel when you hear this?
Blow my fucking brains out when I see this stuff. Like
trigger warning. Yeah, this includes violence and suicide.
Right. Like it would literally be like putting a warning before this show and saying, they talk about rape and they talk about blood sequence. Like if you're that big of a pussy, you just need to just for instance. God, I don't want to get too personal here, but like a friend had a real issue with me before. This was years ago on Facebook about how I had posted about abortion quite a bit. Okay, and I didn't think I was posting about it that much. I went back and I really wasn't.
One time was enough.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it was more than one time, but it's sprinkled throughout my, the thing, whatever. Yeah. I don't, not too much anymore, and it got really upset about it. Okay. And I can only assume why. Yeah. So I was unfriended, because of this and everything. And I was like, I understand if we get an argument or something about something halfway, if you unfriend me, but just because of something like that, it drives me crazy. I mean, I see abortion billboards all over. Are you going to drive around those so you don't see those? I mean, you got to be able to put on your big boy pants,
correct,
and be able to function in society. And these people who online, they were arguing about this and they were saying, well, obviously the normal response is, why do you need these trigger warnings? And these people are like, well, they've been doing it for a very long time. Look at R-rated movies and PG, it'll say mild violence. It'll say, sex scenes or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that, while that absolutely it's true, that's for parents to know what's going on in the movie. It's not so that an adult won't be triggered and freak out at the sight of blood on a television screen. Mm-hmm. I mean, holy shit, how much of a pussy are you that you can't handle the sight of blood on something? It's a society of pussies. I don't get it. We're moving backwards, not forwards. I don't get it.
I agree with you in that. Where we want to basically put rubber on everything so nothing could hurt you. We want to cover everything.
Everybody's going to walk around in those the
suits, the bubble boy.
Bubble boy.
Yeah, so nobody gets hurt. And I do not think that improves you as a person at all, that everything is sterilized for you. I think that you have to encounter things that are opposed to you, or things that I fully agree with that. I can understand. I can always remember this, that when you talk about the trigger warnings, I can very vividly remember I had a relative who, her daughter had been killed in a tragic car accident. Not as if there's like an untragic car accident that you die in. They're pretty much all tragic.
if it's a whole group of pedophiles who die,
then it's a glorious
yes
accident.
So we can agree with that.
Yeah. So, but her daughter had died, and her daughter anyway, it'd been pretty recent, and honestly, she went and saw the movie The Goonies.
Okay.
And I know you're thinking, like, what in The Goonies could have possibly pushed her over the edge?
Sure. It was Truffle Shuffle?
No.
Was it the Truffle Shuffle?
But it has to do with Chunk. It was when Chunk was in that freezer and the body.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And she had to walk out of Goonies. I want you to think about that. Now, I'm not questioning her at all.
Sure.
I can fully understand that.
Right.
But if this is where we're going to get to,
well, that's my thing. Yeah, I can understand.
There's someone wearing a red shirt in this movie.
And if your brother was killed by a person wearing a red shirt, that might trigger you. Yes, yeah. That's what I'm saying exactly. I mean, what are we gonna for the Goonies? Are you gonna list all this stuff? It contains a kid in a freezer. I mean, at what point? And that's fine.
Rocky Road, hey you guys.
So I mean, that's fine. Not fine, but that's okay if you can't handle something. But that's on you. That's your thing. Yeah. I mean, we can't go by every person who's had some sort of tragic thing and then go, oh well, this might affect this person because of this. We are to the point where the minority people, and minority, I mean lower the not in majority, I'm not talking about
not racial
or anything like that. But the one person yells and screams about something and we listen to them. And that is the absolute biggest shift that I've seen from being an adult to when I was a kid. Before it was, the majority rules and all of that type of stuff. But and I don't think necessarily the majority should rule. I saw this an article, an editorial in the Post the other week, talking about how America isn't a democracy anymore. The majority don't rule. America was never a democracy. It's a republic.
Correct.
For the reason of hey, if you got 60% of men in the country and 51% think it's okay for rape, then all of a sudden it's democracy. Hey, we're going to rape you.
We're avoiding that.
Yes,
through a republic. We practice democracy, but we are not a democracy.
Right. We practice it through republic. Yes,
correct. Which is the way it needs to be.
Absolutely.
And thankfully, otherwise Hillary would be president.
Right.
And they're turning us off now.
Right, sure. Exactly. Heads are definitely exploding out there.
But they wouldn't have felt that way if the roles had been reversed.
Right. Absolutely.
And I'll tell you right now.
Oh, that's great.
And I'll tell you right now, there would have been Republicans who go, but he won the popular vote.
Yeah. And I understand there's some solace in that. I get that. Okay, yeah. There's solace in the fact of going, well, the majority of people wanted Hillary. If you're a Hillary supporter, and that's fine, I understand that. But the fact is that the Electoral College was made for a reason, and that's part of the reason. I mean, if you look at the colors on the map of where it is, evidently there's something in the seawater that makes you retarded or something because it was all the blue was on the seawater.
California is
right.
crazy.
Exactly. Exactly. Do you see those guys who want to rip apart from California, the new California? They want to make the 51st state, and they want like, because I mean, a lot of California is, or some of it is Republican, conservative, and then it's all on that lower half type of thing by
like
the
Southern California?
by the seaboard, by seashore and everything. All of that is the liberal part.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
I love like Southern California.
Okay.
I've been to San Francisco and LA and that whole area. I love it. The temperature is fantastic.
I hate it. I've
hate
never
that weather?
I've never been there, but I hate heat and I hate humidity.
No. That's just it. Like San Diego,
Yeah.
it's like 74 degrees.
That's still too hot.
Shut up.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to disagree on this one.
Okay.
You're
That
not offending me.
offends.
You're not offending
I'm
me.
not? Okay.
No.
Okay.
We're disagreeing on that.
All right.
See, kids, this is how you handle conflict.
It's like 30 degrees outside right now. Like 10 more degrees. That's perfect. 40. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well.
Yep. Absolutely.
So another thing that has been brought up recently was the Down syndrome abortion bill.
Yes.
What are you thinking about that? Now, to begin with, if I'm not wrong, you are pro-life.
Yes.
Am I correct
Yes.
in that? Okay.
Yes.
So I have an idea of where you come in on this, but talk to me.
Okay. Well, for those who don't know, the Down syndrome abortion bill is just passed in Ohio, and it's in a nutshell, it makes it illegal to abort a baby due to the fact that it has Down syndrome.
Because oftentimes they're doing these tests prior,
Mm-hmm.
and they have an idea, a likelihood of whether or not the child's going to have. They cannot
Right.
tell you, comprehensively, categorically, this child has Down. It's
Right.
just a likelihood.
Likelihood.
And there's times I have a friend who they told him that and the child did not have Down syndrome.
I have a friend who they had triplets,
Yeah.
and one of them had a problem with its spine, and the
Okay.
doctor said if you want to abort that one, that's okay.
Selective, so they can just go in.
Yeah, and they're like, no, they had him totally fine. I mean, he had a little bit of problem like early on, like with the spine, where he's totally fine. I mean,
Yeah.
100%.
Deanna and I,
So-
when there's a test that they basically, you want us to do this test to find out, and the answer was, for what? I'm finding that out for what?
Well, just to be prepared.
Okay, to be prepared.
Yeah.
But my perspective was, I will love the child no matter
Sure.
what. And so what am I going to go out and buy special clothes? What am I going to do if I find out his Down syndrome?
Right,
Nothing.
Well, yeah, my problem arises where, my problem arises with the fact that because a baby is going to have Down syndrome, they're getting more rights than a baby who doesn't have Down syndrome.
So go on.
So if a baby, if you have two mothers there and the one has Down syndrome and then the other one doesn't, and they say we both want to get an abortion, and they go, oh no, you can't abort the Down syndrome one, but you can abort the normal one. And normal, I say, okay,
Yes,
you know what I'm saying.
the child without Down syndrome.
Down syndrome, yes.
I think we can say the healthy, the perfectly
The
healthy.
yes. The person the one with both chromosomes.
I got to tell you right now that I'd never thought of it in that way.
Yeah.
That no, we won't let you. You can't abort this one. That one, Healthy Johnny.
Healthy
go
Johnny.
right ahead.
Healthy Johnny's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
So
wow.
now we're to the point of,
You'd think it was the opposite way.
Yeah, you would. Well, it's now we're to the point where we're keeping.
But maybe this is just a step. Maybe this is just the first step. If we can get to, because what we'll ultimately do is Republicans will have every child declared as they have Down syndrome.
Right. Maybe, and you know what? I could see some people thinking that.
Oh, we're wrong again.
Guess what? Oh man.
Well, he's healthy.
Oh no, he's fine.
That's $6 million this month that we've saved. Oh, wow. We should probably rethink this test.
Sure.
No, I'm sure it's fine.
Right. So, but I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I understand. And again, this sounds like a liberal thing, because I always say liberals have their hearts in the right place, but they don't really think things through.
Okay.
So you go, oh man, that'd be so nice if we could just, you're not going to be punished because you have Down syndrome. You're going to get to live. But this kid who's healthy is going to be punished or could potentially be punished.
Correct. Do you think this is in reaction? I don't know if it was somewhere in Europe, I believe, where they were basically saying, yeah, in our country, we have 0 people being born with Down syndrome. And then they're like, yeah, it's because you're aborting them all.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I think that's
really?
I think that's why, because they were like really proud, like, yeah, we have no people with Down syndrome. Well, because you kill them.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's North Korea, probably.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I never thought about that. No. Now, I'm for this.
Yeah.
I'm obviously for this, but that is an interesting way to look at it. If like a friend and I were having this conversation at work, and it was about abortion. Mm-hmm. And the friend is on the different side, definitely pro-choice. And I had done a little research trying to find out, like, okay, so I think it is most clearly, it is per state, the time frame in which you can get an abortion.
Okay.
But I think I read just last night that there is going to be a federal law putting out saying there can be no abortion after 20 weeks, which is good. Mm-hmm. Which is good. I just want them to continue to start moving that back even farther, because at one point in time it was 24 weeks, and then what happened was they found out that a child. I remember hearing a podcast about it. A child was born at 24 weeks, and that child's still alive.
Really?
Or no, it was less than 24. That's what it was. They were born at like 20 weeks, and so. Because the whole argument is we have to do it at 24 weeks because they're not, what's the word? They're not
capable of sustaining themselves.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. That's right. Well, guess what? This person thing died at 20 or was born at 20 weeks, and it was sustainable. So that's why we moved it back there. I heard somebody saying it's possible that thing could continue to get moved back because science will continue to be able to prove, nope, we could sustain it from right here as well.
Right.
This is going to be I'm not one of those. I'm a pessimist in this regard. I think abortion will be here with us forever. Like, I do not believe that.
Yeah, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I get both sides. Okay, I totally get both sides. They say, well, people are going to do it anyway. You might as well give them something, a safe way to do it. Well, yeah, well, people are going to kill people anyway, so you might as well give them guns. I don't know. But I understand, in the same regard, you have the government telling you what you can do and telling you that you have to do something. I don't know.
Well,
so I'm kind of torn about. I get it, and I'm more pro-life than. I mean, by far. Don't get me wrong, but in the same respect, I don't think that it's a when there's a lot of abortion. I think that points more to a major societal problem rather than legislative of the government. I mean, our ultimate goal should be to make it so that women aren't getting abortion or don't want to get an abortion or don't have to get an abortion, which is, I'm all for giving out birth control and all of that so that, this stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I prevent it.
Well, a friend and I, again, were having a conversation one time, and the answer, the statement that was made to me was like, well, I just want women to be able to have a choice. And I said, listen, I'm so totally for women choosing. Listen, if a woman wants to choose to get a job and work, go, girl. Mm-hmm. If she wants to vote, you go. If she wants to have sex with somebody not her husband, or go right ahead. If she wants to have sex without using protection, that's fine. Let her choose all that. Mm-hmm. Choose. There's only one choice I don't think she should be allowed to make. So I'm not going to feel bad about that one thing. To say you can't choose to do this, because when you do that, you're taking away that being's choice.
Absolutely.
And I'm against that in all of society. You should never be able to take someone else's choice away, whether it's a government or me as an individual taking to choose. I don't want to give my life. Well, you're giving me your life, and they shoot you in the face. I'm against that.
Right.
So all that to say, this is interesting. I had not thought of it in that way. I'm hoping, though, that maybe it's just like a step in the way. mental health checks for guns.
Yeah.
This is a one that sounds great on paper.
Yeah.
And in your head, it's like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think there are flaws in it, and I think there are problems that I think people aren't considering.
This is my thing. Every time one of the shootings happened, people go, "Oh my God, we need to do this or we need to do that," and everything. You simply step back and you go, would the law that you're thinking about enacting have stopped this or any other of the shootings from happening? That's what you have to look at. And I have yet to see one where it would have, to get a mental health check before you have to get a gun. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. In that same respect, it is a right. It's our second right, in the Constitution. So I don't understand. If somebody said, "Hey, you have to get a mental health check before you have freedom of speech," people would be like, "Oh, fuck, that's dumb."
Yeah.
I don't think we should have to do that. But,
speech can't kill.
Yeah. Well,
directly.
Not directly.
Certain speech speech is banned.
Yeah. Why?
Well, because it's against.
Like what?
I don't think that you're allowed to. You can't incite a riot.
Okay. Yeah.
And now we are now talking about hate speech.
I got you. Yeah, well, hate speech is a very broad, subjective type of thing, where people say, "Oh, well, that's hate speech."
Yeah,
well,
nonsense. No, it's just you don't like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're hating on. I hate to say this, but you're hating on Trump. Well,
correct.
That's hate speech. Then, where do you draw the line of just because it's, anti a race or something? I mean, that's bad, but. I still contend people should be allowed to say it. The KKK has the same voice that you or I or, Obama, anybody has, whoever.
I am definitely a capitalist. And when it comes down to things like I let society or I let the market deal with things. Mm-hmm. So if the baker decides, I don't want to make a birthday or a wedding cake for your gay wedding, okay, go ahead. And if you don't like it, you don't give them your business. You tell your friends,
Absolutely.
None of your friends. You let the market deal with it. I don't need the government coming in and shutting him down or forcing him to. I don't need that.
I agree.
The market can handle it. Guarantee you. And they, what if he said he was going? What if what if it's a Jewish guy? He's the baker, and a Nazi comes in. He's all right. No. Yeah, he doesn't have to make that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to force him to make that. And the word's going to get around. Hey, by the way.
Yeah, that's my thing. People like to bash on this Christian baker with the cake and everything. And then, I guarantee you if it was the other way around and somebody wanted to, a black guy came in there or it was a black baker.
Yeah.
And the KKK wanted to make a cake that depicted a black guy getting hung.
Yep.
They'd be like, no, they can't make them do that. So you're going to tell me you can make them do that?
Yeah.
No, I don't want the government involved in that. No, you tell the news, you tell everybody, whatever.
Yep.
That's fine, and you get them all on that. Again, yeah, you Yelp it or whatever, you put it on, and it's like I saw a thing where that was a website that was created by white people just to bitch, like a
Yelp was
Yelp, yeah. It's like I don't know, which I thought was funny, but but I hate white people, so that's probably why.
I know you do. I want as little government interference in my life as possible. Let me live my life.
Give me liberty or give me death.
Yeah. Heard a podcast I listen to, a guy I listen to quite a bit, is Ben Shapiro.
Okay. I love Ben Shapiro.
I love Ben Shapiro. And he said yesterday, his view of immigration, he says, I'm a libertarian. And he's like, if you want to work here and have a job, and as long as you're paying your taxes, he said, that's fine with me. And what his stipulation came down to is as long as I'm not paying for anything.
I agree.
Yeah. If you want to come in and work, doing whatever it is, fine. So long as I'm not paying for anything for you. I'm perfectly fine with that. Mm-hmm. Now there are some who are like, no, they're taking our jobs. Well, I don't know how true that is. And I don't know what kind of jobs we're talking about here. I'm not so sure on that one. Again, as long as I'm not having to pay for you. And then somebody else, I heard this guy, he's like, yeah, but they come in, all of a sudden they start affecting the culture. Okay, so how do you think the Indians felt about you when you showed up? When you start burning down the teepees, you don't think you're affecting their culture? It's a little bit bigoted, a little bit racist. You need to relax. Our cultures are going to change, and we need to be okay with that.
Well, you can have any culture you want. I mean, you can do anything you want, and I don't understand how the way other people live their lives are going to affect you as far as culturally goes. I mean, if you want to do your same white guy things that you've always wanted to do, how is anybody a big influx of blacks or Mexicans
it's going to bother them to see them? I think that's the answer. Like, but I got to see them. I don't want to see all these Mexicans around. I think that's the answer.
Hey, I
can't help that.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Maybe this will be a gateway to us getting Cinco de Mayo off every year or something. Who knows? Wouldn't that be sweet?
Yeah, see,
or Kwanzaa.
You're seeing the positive.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right. Well, we've talked about trigger warnings. We talked about the cranberries, Down syndrome, abortion bill, mental health check for guns. My issue with the mental health check for guns is this. I really do hate the term slippery slope. That's a slippery slope. You're heading down there.
Sure.
This is my Brian Regan. Hey, that slope's kind of slippery.
I don't know who Brian Regan is.
Oh, just Google him. This is imitation. That's slope. It's a slippery one. It's a comedian.
Oh, I don't have to Google. I just saw him. You just told me. Did you ever watch that Bo Burnham special that I told you about that I thought you'd really like? Nope. It's awesome. You'd love him.
He's no Dave Chappelle.
He's funnier than Dave Chappelle.
Incorrect.
Yeah. Have you ever seen him? No. There you go.
That's like I can say there's nobody better than Michael Jordan or LeBron James. I don't have to see it. I just know it doesn't exist.
I'm Rick James, bitch. Oh, wow. That's hilarious.
No, there's so much more than that. That's just nothing. Dave Chappelle is absolutely hilarious. He really is absolutely hilarious.
So. Anyway, Bo Burnham's a white guy, though. You'd like him better.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it reminds me of you.
The comedians I like.
He's fun.
I like a lot of black comedians. Like Bernie Mac. I loved Bernie Mac. Steve Harvey.
Oh my God! There's your white guilt going in there.
No, funny is funny.
Sure, you just. I mean, why? I don't. I just look at comedians as if they're funny. I don't look at their skin color. Okay. So take that, put that. I love Mexican Cheech and Chong, Chris Rock. Black,
listen to me.
Yeah,
listen to me. This is something I want to make a proposition to you. I think this could, and there's not sarcasm.
Okay.
This is like legitimately, this could change things.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Right.
This could change our society as it is.
Wow.
Listen to me. Listen to what I'm going to say to you.
I'll listen.
When you hear someone talk about Lady Justice.
Yes.
And have you ever seen there's basically a statue of Lady Justice. Describe what she looks like or what we see in this statue.
Well, you see her tit coming out.
Okay.
Okay. That's basically as far as I got.
Okay. Well, I'm here to inform you there's a couple other things.
Oh, okay. Well, no, she's holding a scale. That's on the cover of the Metallica album, And Justice for All, where she has the blindfold on.
She's blindfolded.
Yeah. And
she's blindfolded. Yeah. Okay. And that's where I'm going to take you here. Did you ever see the movie A Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey, Samuel L. Jackson?
No.
Yeah, I hate it, and I hope they burn in hell.
No, never saw it. I heard the song A Time to Kill by Overkill. It was on Years of Decay. Came out in 1989.
What happens in the film is Samuel L. Jackson. Do you like how I just moved right past it?
Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson.
I'm used to it. It's all right. Go ahead.
His daughter is raped and murdered by these two white
I hope
hillbillies.
There's a trigger warning on that movie.
So he takes it upon himself, like after their trial and they were found not guilty, he shows up in the courthouse and shoots them dead.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'm down.
Matthew McConaughey and Sandra Bullock, whose name was Roark or Rourke. In the movie, yes.
Oh, man.
Matthew McConaughey is going to defend him. He's going to defend Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson clearly murdered them.
Okay.
He waited there overnight. He had the gun. He came back out. He shot both of them dead.
Okay.
So you'll see where I'm going here in a second. If you've never seen the movie, spoiler alert. At the very end of the movie, Samuel L. Jackson's life is on trial here. And here's what Matthew McConaughey does. He starts describing Samuel L. Jackson's daughter. And he starts describing how this is what she looked like and this is what she did that one day. And then all of a sudden this happened to her. And then they killed her. And then they threw her body right off the bridge. And then he has the jury close their eyes and they just listen to that. They picture it all. And then he just gives this one powerful line. He says, "Now imagine she's white. and you see they're actors, but you see the change because they're already feeding into that they know that she's black. My proposition is that juries no longer know the race of the defendant or the plaintiff. You no longer know the race. You are strictly you are restricted to simply knowing the facts of what happened. So let's take O.J. Simpson. Let's take O.J. Simpson and his wife. All we know,
ex-wife.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. All we know is we have the defendant, and we start laying out the facts. This is what happened, and this is her, and then this is the guy that was with her. And it might, I'll be honest with you, it might even get to the point where you wouldn't even be able to tell the jury their names. Because sometimes the name could go ahead and
Lamont.
Okay, fine. Unintentionally, it could affect their bias.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't part of that whole thing too? Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never been on a jury, thank God.
A jury of your peers.
Of my peers. I've never been called for jury duty or anything like that.
My thing, as far as the jury of your peers, it should be simply saying it should be people who live in your community, people who are equally affected by the culture in this community.
Okay.
That would be fine to me, but it does not have to be same race or same gender, and that's exactly what happens. Is that the lawyers and everybody is trying to get that thing so slanted for them, so they're trying to get more women because women will vote this way, and it needs to be past that. If justice is truly blind, what's happening to us right now is we are allowing our decisions we made to be based upon that. And I go so far as to say, I bet the way you and I handle stories about the news, if I didn't know the race or where it happened in town, things like that, all of a sudden, the way we process and emotionally react to those stories, I think they'd be dramatically different.
I'll agree with that. I mean, look at Casey Anthony. I mean, but part of that whole appeal was that she was hot, you know? I mean, she was a pretty white girl.
Oh, I wanted her dead, man.
And if it was, well, you're just racist. But if it was if that was a black woman, you know, and in the ghetto, and they found it,
she'd have been found guilty.
Yeah. And then people would totally forget about it. They'd be like, is this another wacko or whatever? But no, she was a pretty white girl, so she got off. You're right. No, I hear you. But in the same respect, don't you have to, I mean, part of the whole thing being in a jury like that, isn't it part of it like watching the defendant's reaction to things and body language and that type of thing, or no?
But I don't believe that should be part of your decision-making process. I don't know that should be.
Why not?
Because you can't really truly read that. How many times all of a sudden somebody's been found guilty because, he was cold. He was very cold. He was unfeeling. He didn't do it. It's just the way he processed this event that took place. Yeah. He emotionally dealt with it differently than you. And all of a sudden you're now reading it through your filter and you conclude, he's guilty. Well, he didn't end up doing it. That's the kind of thing I wonder if we didn't know those things, if we couldn't physically see them and automatically attach them to our own biases, if we could get better, more concrete judgments. How can I hashtag that? How can I start that? Truly blind justice? Hashtag truly blind justice? Like, I'd love to see a jury. What if the jury were all blind? Yeah. What if the jury were, because surely there's been blind jurors before.
Well, I know this blind lawyer.
Who's that?
Oh, he by day he's a lawyer, and by night he fights crime in Hell's Kitchen. You ever heard of him?
Daredevil?
Daredevil. Oh yeah, you've heard of that. All right, awesome. All right.
Well, there you go. I'm so glad I was able to. You're the first person I've voiced that to. I've thought that
that's
for
interesting.
a few months.
I mean, it's definitely something to think about.
You know what? You can attribute it all to.
All to you.
No, not to me, but to Matthew McConaughey and John Grisham.
On a totally separate subject here,
yes,
I'm going to tell you something that would totally change the face of our society. Okay, are you ready for this? Because I've never told anybody this either, but it has nothing to do with like race relations or justice or whatever or anything. Okay. You might even have to. Oh shit! Sorry. You might even edit this out. Who knows?
Okay.
I don't even know. But whatever. So, you're a homeowner.
Yes.
Right? Are you aware? You're aware of amortization and your interest versus payments and what goes to, how much,
principal.
If principal and everything. And if your house is like, say $1,000, your loan is, let's say $1,000 a month, like $150 will go to principal, and then everything else goes to interest, and then it slowly goes, it swaps the other way over a 30-year period.
Yes.
Well, why don't we just do the way that they fuck you on that is that the majority of that is all within the first 10 years. It's almost all interest you're paying.
Why isn't it flipped?
So, well, not even flipped. It's just simple interest where, like on your car loan, that's what it is. It's just every month it's the exact same amount going to each thing. Why is it? Because they know that on average, the average American will move every 7 years. So you can't really build up equity unless you stay in your home for a very long period of time.
Right.
So if it went to simple interest instead, then it wouldn't matter how long you stayed in your home. Then you would still, every year you'd build up the same amount, and that would build up. That the only people that it would affect badly is the loan, the banks and that type of thing. Whereas it would Americans. Their personal wealth would be astronomical if it was switched around to simple interest loans.
Have any banks or have any cities or cultures in the world ever embraced that?
I don't know. I've never heard of anyone doing it.
Because those banks are already bankrupt.
Anything. Well, yeah, right, exactly. It's definitely not doing it in Greece. But
oh my gosh, that I at least at a cursory hearing, that sounds it's too good. Because the banks are never going to do that.
That's my thing, exactly. And that's I'm very much into like just like you. I want as little government interference as possible, but I think that should be implemented.
That'd be a spot where the government intervention would be good.
Yes, absolutely.
One thing that I have seen recently with banks, I'll never forget this. I think everybody's bounced a check before, all right, especially if you don't have a budget. It's very easy to do it. And I can recall one time there was a whole phone call involved with, I can't think of the name of the bank anymore, but we left them shortly thereafter. But basically, we had miscalculated, and there were like 4 checks that bounced. And when I called the bank, and there were basically a $25 charge on each of those checks. And I found out a couple things after I had this phone conversation, and it pissed me off to no end. What I found out is I had these 4 checks. The first one's, let's say the check's for $4,000. This next one's for $50. Next one's $25. Next one's $10. Well, they run the biggest one first. Okay? They run the biggest one first. So as soon as that bounces, what's for sure going to happen to the following 50?
Sure.
20, okay?
Absolutely.
So I said to them, so let me ask you a question. When the first one bounced, what made you think, well, maybe the second one will go through?
Right.
And I said, the answer is you do it in this order so you can get your $25 each time.
Absolutely.
Because I said, why didn't you go ahead and run the $10 one first, which would not have bounced? And she says, well, this is what she said to me. Well, our perspective is that the biggest one is most important. That's what, and I said, I'm telling you are full of crap right now. That is not, you understand exactly. And so now there are some banks that they do not do that. And I think there were class action lawsuits about this very issue.
Probably from you. You started this whole thing.
I wish I'd been a part of it.
Did you hashtag it?
No, it was before Twitter, I think. Right. It was definitely before Twitter. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that the banks will do. That is just, it's like that. You've seen this commercial where the dude's dressed up like a gnome. Like he's a banker and he dresses up like a gnome, or he dresses up a dad with a kid on his back.
Oh yeah.
Because he's in hiding.
Yeah.
Because a lot of banks are so crappy like that. They intentionally see this as a method of income.
Well, yeah, and trust me, I understand the banks are pretty schemy and everything, but it gets me when I hear these commercials on the radio about, well, I want a bank that doesn't give me any fees. It's my money. Why are you making me pay fees for my money? Well, motherfucker, do you think the ATMs are free?
Right.
Do you think that paying the tellers to manage your money is free? Do you think the website's free? Do no, this stuff isn't free. I mean, I'm happy I get free checking and everything, and that's great. But I'm And I'm also realistic about the whole thing.
I'm with you there. Where I don't like is that I know that there's just stupidity, and I despise stupid answers. For instance, okay, so this check bounced. I have another account that would have covered that amount. You can see right there I have the savings that could have went ahead and covered that.
I had the same thing happen to me.
Yeah. Money is there.
The money was there. I had thousands of dollars in my savings, and like 5 or 6 things bounced, and I had like $150 fee or whatever because of it. And I went and bitched, and they only gave me half of my money back.
Yeah.
That was it. And I'm like,
And do not give me any kind of crap about, but there's processing and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No. I work in computers. I work in software. I understand. It's a click. It's a freaking click.
It's a click.
All right? And I don't know about you, but it must be really hard for you to click over there that you got to charge me $25 to click.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have to.
It's all automatic shit anymore.
Yes.
Don't give me this stuff.
Exactly.
Yes.
It is income for them, and I'm not for that. So, United States government, if you're listening, as I'm sure you are,
yes,
if you could stop
absolutely.
this, I'm not concerned with the baker.
Yeah.
But if you could address this,
Trump, if you could make amortization simple interest loans, that would be huge. Huge.
All right.
Bigger than your hands.
All right. Well, Jeff, it was a pleasure.
Likewise.
So it's been quite a week. I can't wait to see what we're going to have next week.
Wow. Yeah. I'll start making my list, and we'll have all kinds of things. I always have something to bitch about.
Oh, well, there's going to be plenty.
And lots of Friday thoughts. So,
What's offensive?
Weekly.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you've made it through the whole thing, kudos to you.
God bless you.
Yeah, you got some thick skin.
Amen.
Because we've tried to offend you. So,
yeah. If not,
we'll try harder next week.
Next time, you bunch of retards.
All right. Take care.